Hi guys, Tuber here with a new video. In this video, we're going to talk about Shaman and the changes for 11.1, which are solidified in stone. I'm going to talk about, is it going to be a drastic buff or drastic nerf? Is it going to be better for PvP? Is it going to be better for PvE? No big surprises about Enhancement Shaman and Elemental Shaman. No big surprises for Restoration Shaman, but I think a lot of the stuff are bound to balancing. So let's start right away with the video, right? So the initial shield from Stonebark Bulwark Totem is no longer dispellable, which is a huge win for PvP. So if you put the Stone Bulwark Totem, which is a 3-minute CD and gets instant dispel, that's an instant feels bad moment. Now it cannot get dispelled. It can also not be stolen by a mage in PvP, so that's a huge thing. Ghost Wolf visuals has been updated to scale with player model and have been made more transparent to reduce visual clutter. Lightning Bolt has a new spell visual. I already made a video about that. I think it is quite cool. Ancestral Guidance has been removed, so that is a huge feels bad moment for Elemental Shaman and Enhancement Shaman. I feel like it's less of a concern for Restoration Shaman, but I think it kind of sucks because it is still a hybrid, and I feel like being able to heal a bit is something that should be a thing for Shaman, but whatever. Let's talk about Elemental Shaman really quickly. Deeply Rooted Elements is now a small percent chance per Maelstrom spent, rather than being a flat chance per Maelstrom spent. This change should make it equally valuable to cast a Maelstrom spinner while talented into Deeply Rooted Elements. So abilities such as Elemental Blast no longer generate less Ascendance activations over time. So that's a win for the people that do use Elemental Blast. Primordial Wave has been redesigned. Now deals a high amount of damage to all targets affected by your Flame Shock. I already showed that in the video. I think it's a better change, and it will make it a bit more easier to balance Elemental Shaman in the future. Same for Enhancement Shaman, by the way. It's a complicated spell to manage and get the optimal use out of it. Blah blah blah. That is not really the real reason. The real reason is it is way better to have a ability that does a lot of damage like Primordial Wave, instead of like having lava bursts on to everyone, because then you have to modify lava burst. Now if it is too strong, you can just modify the Primordial Wave instead of the lava burst coming out of it. Healing Stream Totem increased by 80%. I don't know how big that is in PvP. But I'm all for hybrids to be able to heal, because that's how a hybrid should be. Now requires a target to cast whenever you're going to do Ascendance. Flame Shock and Lava Burst from casting it will always hit your primary target. So that's cool. A Lightning Rod's visual has been updated. Chain Lightning Overload is no longer displayed to allies in raids and dungeons, so you will not see like an overload of Chain Lightnings on your screen. Now displays a more subtle visual when viewed by allies in raids and dungeons. I wonder how it is for PvP, but I guess it's the same for PvP. Earthquake Overload as well, not longer displayed to allies in raids and dungeons. Farseer, Maelstrom Supremacy now increases the healing of Healing Surge and Chain Heal by 15% instead of 8%. And Stormbringer Arc Discharge can now accumulate up to 2 charges. So overall, I think Elemental Shaman does come out victorious out of these changes. I know that some people don't like the Primordial Wave redesign, but I actually like it, so I'm okay with that. Enhancement Shaman. So that's a lot of changes, by the way. Look at this. That's a lot of changes, so bear with me. So Enhancement Shaman currently have Maelstrom weapon spending abilities that potentially do very high damage, while their melee abilities are not hitting as hard as we would like them to be. So that's something that always has been a problem since the reworks for Enhancement Shaman. We're redistributing some of your overall damage to be less weighted towards Maelstrom weapon spenders and more damage towards your melee abilities, making some buffs like Feral Spirits always grant bonuses to your physical damage abilities regardless of what talents options you have chosen, which is a huge buff. There is also a new talent, which is one of the most fun talents I have played in PTR, or made a video about it. New talent, Primordial Storm. Primordial Wave transforms into a single-use Primordial Storm for 15 seconds after it's cast. Devastates nearby enemies with a Primordial Storm, dealing Flame Strike, Frost Strike, and Storm Strike damage, unleashing a Lightning Bolt, so that's for sure in PvP, at 150%, which is in PvP 100%, deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. Consumes all Maelstrom weapon for increased damage. The damage is in my opinion, very good. So it is going to be very hard to choose what talents you want to pick up between Ascendance, between Primordial Storm, between your Feral Spirits. I think overall this is a big win, so I really like that. This is like a very flavorful talent. Molten Thunder has been updated, so Sundering has a 40% chance to reset its own cooldown, increased by 12% for up to 5 targets. Each consecutive reset reduces these chances by half. So Molten Thunder proc rates were a bit too unpredictable, causing significant shifts in damage output, especially with the Totemic Hero Talent 3, because you need that. We're making adjustments to make it more predictable while preserving its functionality. Additionally, we're transferring some power away from Tremor and Earth Surge into other abilities alongside the proc trigger adjustments. Those are like the, if I'm not mistaken, from the Totemic Hero Talents. Elemental Spirits has been updated, so your Feral Spirits are now imbued with Fire, Frost, or Lightning, increasing your damage dealt with that element by 10%, but also increases your physical damage dealt by 10%. So there is no negatives taking this talent. Before it was, if you're like a Stormstrike build, you would not take this talent because you want to still do a lot of damage on your Stormstrike. This is going to be enabling it, so it's very good. Voltaic Blade has been updated again. Tempest, Lightning Bolt, and Chain Lightning have a high chance to make your next Flame Shock become Voltaic Blaze. With this change, we're aiming to make Voltaic Blaze procs more consistent, allowing them to align better with the Enhancement Shaman rotation. So coming out, Lightning Bolt and Tempest, which is good. Voltaic Blaze damage now scales with Mastery Enhanced Elements, which is doing more damage then, and chance to trigger has been slightly reduced, which is normal, because you're not going to have on Maelstrom gain, but now on spenders, so it's good. Lashing Flames has been updated. Lava Lash and Sundering increases damage of Flame Shock on its target by 100%. So if you're doing just a Sunder, if you don't have Lava Lash and you still want to have Lashing Flames, you can still have it. So that's a good thing. I think personally I like it. Obviously, am I going to take it? That's another discussion. But I like the change, so you are not like Lava Lash dependent. Since I prefer not playing with Lava Lash, for example, I prefer to be like a full Stormstrike build. I always said that like Storm build is my thing. If I want to have like the dot damage being like bigger on Flame Shock, I can actually play with Sundering and do the Flame Shock to get 100% more damage onto the enemy. Primordial Wave has been updated the same as in Elemental Shaman, now deals a high amount of damage to all targets affected by your Flame Shock. So you have Flame Shock, Flame Shock, Flame Shock, Flame Shock, Flame Shock, Flame Shock, Primordial Wave, boom, you get Primordial Storm, destroy someone, and it's going to be quite good to play around. I'm going to make a video about it tomorrow. Once it is live, I'm going to do the first grind with my Shaman. It's going to be fantastic, making videos about that as well. I'm actually excited about 11.1. The more I'm reading about it, the more I'm playing it on the BTR, the more excited I am on the gameplay. Now I hope Blizzard does fix a few things that I'm very concerned about, but we'll have to see. I'm going to do PvE as well. Primordial Wave generates 5 Maelstrom weapon stacks, so no more 10, but it's at least inside of Primordial Wave, so you don't have to talent into it. Primordial Wave is now disabled and enabled on the action bar depending on the availability of Flame Shock targets. So if you don't have a Flame Shock on someone, you're not going to be able to do Primordial Wave, obviously. Stormstrike is now learned at level 10. Primary resource system Maelstrom was not very noticeable as a passive in the spellbook. To address this, we're making Stormstrike the introductory ability for those choosing the Enhancement Shaman specialization and replacing the spot on the talent tree with Maelstrom, which I find it kind of whatever. You could put Lava Lash instead. You put Lava Lash out on top and you put the Maelstrom weapon on the right, so you have to take it. But I think whatever. I think that's probably for the better. If people don't want to play with Lava Lash, it is what it is. But it would be the same as in Cataclysm, that's why I would say that, but whatever. Stormtrunk can now be used without an offhand weapon, dealing only its main hand weapon damage. At first, whenever I read that, I thought like, oh, I'll be able to play two-hander, but no. If you have a two-hander, it's not going to be able to do the Stormstrike damage, which sucks. I was hoping, oh damn, means that I can actually play a two-hander Stormstrike. No, it is only for melee one-hander main hand and not like a two-hander. So it really sucks. I wish it was, but it is not. So I'm very sorry for you guys as well. Maelstrom weapon passive is now the first node on the talent tree. Yep, like I read above. Excuse me. Storm strike damage increased by 15%, not applied to PvP. This is already like changed in PvP. Like in PvP, we already have a buff like that. Now they decided to do the same for PvE. Ice Strike and Lava Lash as well increased in PvE by a lot, like 100% and 60%. Chain Lightning reduced by 15%. Bah, doesn't really matter because we're not using it in PvE. In PvP, excuse me. In PvE you do. Wind Fury attack damage reduced by 10%. That sucks in PvP, but it is what it is. Crash Lightning additional damage increased by 200%, and that's big because if you're counting on the tier set, it's going to be quite noticeable, the things that you can do with Crash Lightning. Elemental Blast damage increased by 20%. That's also noticeable, although normally how I'm playing currently my Shaman, I'm not playing with Elemental Blast, but I might change it. Healing Stream Totem increased by 100%. That's really good, so I really like that. Flame Tongue attack now deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. Okay. Molten Assault now spreads Flame Shock up to 5 nearby enemies instead of 4. Ashen Catalyst now increases the damage of Lava Lash by 8% instead of 12%. Huge nerf as well. PvP as well, by the way. Chain Lightning now increases the damage of your next Crash Lightning by 10% per target struck. Was 20. Yeah, I'm not really into that as well. Electrostatic Wager now increases the damage of Crash Lightning by 15% per stack. Was 18%. Hot Hands duration reduced to 6 seconds instead of 8. Though those are really huge nerfs for the Lava Lash build for PvP. Elementalist build, that's how it's called. But we Storm Strike enjoyers, Storm build enjoyers, we are like unaffected by that. So that's like a great thing. So same for PvE. If you're like playing the Storm build in PvE, you're not really that like attached to all those Hot Hands, Ashen Catalyst things because you're not playing around that. That's a good thing. Ice Strike now generates 1 Maelstrom weapon, so I'll take it. I think it was already like that. No, I think you have like a talent that gives you 1 Maelstrom weapon, but I think they changed it as well. So for example, in Swallowing Maelstrom, like I said here, we don't need to take it anymore to get the benefits from it. So that's a good thing. Deeply rooted elements here the same. So it's now a small % chance per Maelstrom weapon stack consumed, rather than being a flat chance per Maelstrom weapon stack consumer. So that is interesting. This change should not longer to make it seem advantageous to always try to cast as many spells as possible at exactly 5 stacks. Any amount of Maelstrom weapon stacks consumed grants the same linear chance towards getting a Ascendance proc. So I'm not playing that in PvP. I'm playing the Ascendance, not the deeply rooted elements, and I'm playing the 2-minute CD. So that's what I'm doing currently. Yesterday I did a few soul shuffles and actually got like to 2.3k MMR. I'm 2.2k CR right now, but I will not have the time to queue today, so I don't think I'm going to be able to go higher, but I don't really care. This season, next season I'm going to try to get a bit higher if the queues allows. But yesterday, like the queue times were very random, unfortunately. Like sometimes it was 25 minutes, and sometimes it was like a 5 minutes. So it's very hard to like plan your day out. I was just lucky that I had time in the evening to just queue up. But sometimes I don't have time. I want to be able to play, but whatever. Maelstrom weapon no longer highlights spenders when they become instant cast at 5 stacks. Is that a good thing? It should highlight at 10 then, hopefully. Whoa. Those are very bad changes. The constant highlighting of Maelstrom spending abilities has become a hindrance in understanding how to play Enhancement Shaman, causing too much information overload that is often inaccurate. Our goal here is to let the fundamental design of the specialization speak for itself. It's similar to our other specialization and be more deliberate with procs that requires immediate action. Moving into Undermined, we will be rolling back most of the highlights on the main resource system, start relying on UI overlays top and personal resource display to show the current state of Maelstrom weapon. We don't take these changes lightly and realize there will be an adjustment period. I don't know, man. Maelstrom Weapon will display a UI overlay at the top for when it reaches 10 stacks, overriding the 5 stack display was at the bottom. So that will depend. I have a weak aura because I found it very hard to see whenever I have like 10 stacks or not. If that is better, then I can just delete that weak aura, which is a good thing. I don't want to have weak auras, to be fair. Like if like Blizzard gives me the possibility to delete some, I will do. But yeah, I'm actually scared. No, not scared. That's a big word. I'm actually concerned. We'll have to see. For example, here will not be highlighting lightning bolt, chain lightning, or elemental blast at 10 stacks. So you will have no highlighting anymore. I don't know about that, man. I think people are going to have weak auras for that. Which, like, after the user experience, blah, 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 which dedicated UI overlay space exclusive to Maelstrom Weapon, we no longer believe that highlighting your baseline spender abilities is necessary. The initial 5 stacks for Maelstrom will be displayed at the top as usual. Upon reaching 10 stacks, another visual will override the 5 stack display, utilizing the visual previously as used for the mastery reset on Stormstrike cooldown. I don't know about that. We'll have to see. We'll have to test. But Maelstrom Weapon highlights Tempest when it is a 10 stack. So you have that at least. And also Maelstrom Weapon will highlight Primordial Storm when it's at 10 stacks. Obviously those two abilities are hitting very hard, so they need to do that. Maelstrom Weapon and Stormweaver, which is the PvP talent, spender abilities will now indicate in their tooltip that they consume Maelstrom Weapon or Stormweaver to increase cast speed as well as damage or healing if talented into. We'll see. Static accumulation will highlight Maelstrom Weapon spenders for a short duration when the refund effect triggers. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to test tomorrow in PvP, so if you want to check that out, please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to go back to a daily schedule with like making my videos, but I need to fix my work schedule with my hobby schedule, so we'll have to see. We'll highlight Maelstrom spenders for a short duration when the refund effect triggers. Arc Discharge will highlight Maelstrom Weapons when spenders while it's active. They will still highlight stuff, man. That's why it's like very hard. Like now we have to unlearn a lot of stuff. So whenever it's going to highlight, it's going to be either our big spenders or whenever it's going to be like the Arc Discharge. We'll have to see. Forceful Winds now increases the damage of Wind Fury weapon by 15 per stack instead of 20. That's a nerf. Plus the 10% nerf. That sucks. Legacy of the Frost Switch duration is increased by 2 to 8 seconds instead of 5. To be fair, it's always active. If you're doing PvP, it's always active. Rank 1 talents now grabs 50% increased physical and frost damage. So, to be fair, you could just put 1 point into this and not put a second point now. So, I think that's fine. I think that's okay. If you put just 1 point, I think it's okay. Just 1 point into that, and then you can put the other points into other stuff. Ice Strike now highlights Frost Shock. Okay, buff no longer on the personal resource display. Whatever. Now consumes Whirling Earth if it activates Molten Assault. Okay. Crush Lightning's visual animation sound. It has been completely revamped. Fire Spell, Nova Spell visual updated. Fire Nova Spell. Yeah. We're not using it PvP. Lightning Rod's visual has been updated. Ice Strike empowered Frost Shock visual sound updated. Impact sound updated as well. Glyph of Spirit Raptors now function with Flowing Spirits. Doom wins damage increases with Mastery. Now deals reduced damage and also no longer on personal resource display. It's now on personal resource display, which is Hot Hands. Fix an issue causing Hot Hands to grant 50% increased damage to Lava Lash through Willing Elements when not talented into Hot Hands. To display 0%, blah blah blah. Some talents have moved locations. Splintered Elements is now a 2-point talent moved to Primal Maelstrom location. Yes, some talents icons have been updated. Primal Maelstrom has been removed. That's the extra Maelstrom that you would get from how it's called, Primordial Wave. Stormbringer, Tempest damage increased by 15%, always welcome. Tempest secondary target damage reduced by 15%, that's okay. Awakening Storms damage increased by 20%. Awakening Storms will now grant Tempest every 4 times, so it's a nerf. whatever. Arc discharge now stacks up to 2 times instead of 1. A conductive energy now causes Prowler Wave to apply lightning rods to its target. That's fine. Especially since you're going to use it anyway, so it's going to be good. When conductive energy is talented, Chain Lightning will apply lightning rod to one of the secondary targets if the main target is already affected by lightning rod. If all secondary targets are already affected, the duration of lightning rod on the main target will be refreshed. Voltaic Surge now increases the damage of Crash Lightning and Chain Lightning by 10%. Voltaic Surge, really? That's weird, whatever. Lightning Rod now deals 8% of the damage dealt by mouse from weapon spenders. That's fine. So all like for me, Tempest being buffed is very good. Since I'm a Stormbringer enjoyer, so if I can avoid Totemic, I will avoid Totemic. I know a Totemic is interesting, but if I can avoid it, I will. Totemic, Searing Bolt damage increased by 40%. Searing Volley damage increased by 12%. Surging Totem Tremor damage reduced by 32%. So we're already in a good start. It might be that I'm not going to play Totemic this season, which is a good thing. I know like choice is good, blah blah blah, but the truth is, if I can stick to Storm build, I'm actually a very happy Enhancement Shaman. If I'm playing like the Elementalist build, which I don't really like in general, then I am like kind of playing a build just for it to be meta, not because I'm enjoying that build. I know a lot of people are enjoying the Elementalist build and the Lava Lash and Totemic builds, which is fine, but that's not how I liked to play Enhancement Shaman. Like, if I could play with a two-hander, I will, for example, you know, and with big Wind Furies. But that is not an option in current standards of retail, so it is what it is. Now, Imbued Mastery now increases the chance for Wind Fury. Like, they are, like, this is like huge nerfs, man. What? Like, literally Totemic is dead. In PvP at least. For me, Totemic is dead from, like, I'm reading, like, I'm reading, like, to the fourth, but my eyes can also see what is below, obviously. It's not looking good for people that are playing Totemic. If you like Totemic, that kind of sucks. I'm very sorry for you guys. Imbuement Mastery now increases the damage of Wind Fury by 8% instead of 15%. Oversurge now increases Surging Totem in damage during Ascendance by 50% instead of 150%. That's crazy. While active Surging Totem is replaced with a relocation spell that summons your Surging Totem nearby, this spell has a 6-second cooldown and does not trigger the global cooldown. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Okay. I mean, it doesn't read like a buff. It could be a buff. But so it could be a buff. Maybe I'm reading wrong. So if people are like understanding it, please let me know. Sundering from Lava Lash reactivity procs now triggers Earth Surge at 50% effectiveness. Was crazy. That's actually a nerf as well. Earth Surge now causes a tremor at the target area at 100% effectiveness. Was 200%. That's a huge nerf as well, divided by 2. An issue causing reactivity Sundering not to trigger Wind Fury weapon has been resolved, so now it will trigger it, I guess. Pulse Capacitator now increases the damage of Surging Totem Tremor by 18% instead of 25%. Well, guys, I'm not reading wrong. These buffs are not offsetting any nerfs, right? Like that, like purely PvP stat. Like I think PvE maybe if you have like multiple targets, why not? But like in PvP with the burst being like the most important thing, I think the burst has been nerfed, the consistent damage has been nerfed, the Wind Fury is being nerfed, the Lava Lash is nerfed, the Ascendance proc the Ascendance making your Surging Totem doing a lot of damage is also nerfed and was already nerfed in PvP. So that's huge. That's like a completely like that talent is just dead. Not good. I think you would take the 3% at all times instead, because it's a choice node. I think in general this is like not looking good for Totemic. So let me know in the comment section below about Enhancement Shaman for that. Now let's talk about the Restoration Shaman. Then we're going to talk about the PvP talents really quickly. Updates to Restoration Shaman are focused on simplification, condensing key mind space, and adding support to Riptide focused builds, which I prefer. So this is my jam if I'm playing Restoration Shaman. This is very cool. And focusing simplification, I think, is a good thing because it's one of the harder classes to play in PvP at least. Mana Tide. Healing Tide totem now additional grants 80% increased mana regeneration to allies, so you don't have Mana Tide totem anymore. So that's a good thing. Terrazin's Resilience. Earth Shield and Water Shield no longer lose charges and are 115% effective. That's great. That's a very fun talent. I actually like that. That's fun. I'm really I like that. I don't like the reapplication of Earth Shields and Water Shields. This is actually making it way more fun. I really like that. And also it's a buff, so it's really good. Whispering Waves, 10% of healing waves. Healing is duplicated onto each of your targets with Riptide. I like that as well. That's like, again, if you have Riptide, and you're doing Primordial Wave, I think it's going to do... Primordial Wave is gone. Excuse me, Primordial Wave is gone. Well, anyways, it is something like a Primordial Wave effect pretty much, but like lesser, like it's a nerfed. But it's passive, so it's all at all times. Healing Wave is now learned at level 11, was a talent, which is weird, but it's now a talent, now it's baseline. It costs 2.5% of base mana instead of 3, so it's a buff, I think. I think that's a buff. All healing increased by 9%. Big buff. Acid rain damage increased by 25%. I don't really care about that in PvP, but whatever. Wave Speaker's Blessing. I want Stormkeepers again. That was like really fun to play around, but now they already like removed it in the War Within. But I wish it was back. But whatever, we're not getting it back, so we have to make it a reason for it. Wave Speaker's Blessing now additionally increases the periodic healing of Riptide by 10 to 20%. Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem now triggers after casting Healing Tide Totem. Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem. Well, we'll have to see. Let me see really quickly. I think that's the best way to see the changes. I'm very sorry, guys. Then I want to be able to speak about the things while I'm watching, right? Okay, so this, I don't know if you can read it. Can you read it? I think you can read it. So Spirit Link Totem reduces the damage. No, it's not this. Excuse me. It's this one. It's a choice node, and it's either it gives you mana regen, or Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem now is going to be used while you're doing Healing Tide Totem. The cast time of your next 3 healing surges within 30 seconds is reduced by 100%, so you have instant healing surges. The mana is also reduced by 50%, so Healing Tide Totem, healing surge, everyone is up. I really like that. I would prefer to play around that instead of Mana Tide. I actually like that change. I personally like that, so I'm a sucker for it. I will actually play Restoration Shaman. When reading this, it feels like it's going to be more fun. I don't know if you guys are reading the same as me, but I'm actually excited about Restoration Shaman. Downpour now overrides Healing Rain for 8 seconds. We're leaving some room for this to expire before the cooldown of Healing Rain or Surging Totem becomes available to avoid having to cancel the buff or wait for it to expire when Downpour is not necessary to cast. Master of the Elements now lasts 30 seconds. It was 15 seconds. You would be using it anyways. Like, it's this talent, right? This one. So casting Healing Lava Burst, you can do Lava Burst, and you would get then a big healing surge, so you could like combine with Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem as well. And whenever you're going to do healing surge, applies Flame Shock to our nearby enemy when empowered by Mastery of Elements. I really like that as well. It's a very offensive talent, and I always liked Mastery of Elements. I wish it was actually like improving your damage, but I understand why it's not doing that. Ancestral Vigor is now a 2-point talent. Several talents have been moved positions and the starter build has been updated. As you may see, it is not the same as before. I think Acid Rain was on the left, if I'm not mistaken. The Ancestral... Where is the Ancestral? If I write it, I will have it most likely. No, I don't think it's Ancestral then. It is Ancestral Vigor. Ancestral Figure is this one. So it's a 2-point node instead of 1. But it will like gain 10% increase their health. So it's okay. It's okay. So following talents have been removed. Mana Tide Totem. Primordial Wave and Healing Wave, but obviously this is going to be replaced with Mana Tide instead of Totem, and Primordial Wave is gone, and you get like a passive with Whispering Waves, and Healing Wave is now something you learn from level 11, so it's not really something that is removed. All Ancestor Healing now benefits from Mastery Deep Healing. All Ancestor's Healing reduced by 50%. I think in total it's a buff, because if someone is low HP, he will get like a 100% increase of healing instead of 15, so that's fine, I like that. Now cast Healing Wave when the Shaman casts Healing Wave. Healing Wave heals for slightly more than Healing Surge. So yeah, obviously, if you're doing Healing Wave, they're going to just like do also a Healing Wave instead of a Healing Surge. Whispering Waves now also duplicates Healing Wave healing done by Ancestors, so that's again something very good. It's overall healing everyone, so that's going to be quite good. Maelstrom Supremacy now increases the healing of Healing Waves, Healing Surge, and Wellspring, Downpour, and Chain Heal by 15% instead of 8%. That's quite good as well. And Elemental Reverb now increases Riptide healing by 10%. Totemic Downpour now overrides Surging Totem for 22 seconds instead of 12. So overall, I am thinking Restoration Shaman is going to be quite meta from the first look. Obviously, it depends on like scaling, depends on a lot of stuff, but I think in general, those are all good changes. I actually wish that you could play a bit more aggressive with Restoration Shaman. You can still play aggressively with like purges and your lava bursts, you know, flame shocks and whatnot, but I do miss the Stormkeepers and lightning bolts. But again, I think that's quite good to talk about. If you go into the PvP section, there's also a lot of changes for warriors and whatnot, but I might make a video about that as well. But first shamans, because I think it's more interesting to talk about shaman right now for me. So shaman, you have a few changes. For example, electrocute PvP talent damage increased by 100%. So here, this is already buffed, so now it's a 240% spell power nature damage over 3 seconds, and lava burst is 140% of spell power fire damage, and it will crit. So overall, I think it's now maybe a bit more worth to have electrocute. 240% is not to be scoffed at. Like if I go into Enhancement Shaman, I'm going to show you. I'm not sure about it. It's not something I'm like married into. 240% spell power nature damage over 3 seconds. If I go to lava burst, it's 140%. If I go to chain lightning, it's 73%. Obviously, you have your maelstrom giving you more damage, but that's not the point. Here you have your elemental blast doing 200%, and remember, you still have to use your maelstrom, so you will get more damage, obviously, but it's still a huge thing. Like, I personally think this is now playable, but you will have to play Purge instead of Greater Purge, because you don't want to, because it's not going to make it ×2 the damage, right? It's only like every single time you're purging, you're getting electrocute. I think it can be very fun. I think that's usable now. So I would say it's even more usable as a Restoration Shaman, because you don't have a lot of like improvements. But like if you go, for example, like electrocute, obviously if you're versus a caster, you kind of need grounding totem, and then you have a few like talents that you can choose of. Like for example, living tide, I kind of like it. Makes your your healing tide totem a lower CD. Rain dance, I don't really care because I'm not playing totemic anyways. A static field totem, I like it, but it's a 1.5 minute CD. Storm conduit, which is a new talent which I'm going to talk about, I find it quite useful as well. Kind of like it as well. Totem of Wrath, interesting as well. Gets used whenever you're going to go, use Nature Swiftness. This shield is really good at like peeling yourself and peeling your allies, for example. Burrow is also quite nice. You have a lot of choices, and you don't need to play Electrocute, obviously. But I would say versus a Restoration Druid, versus like a Disc Priest, versus like classes where you do want to purge, I think that's quite a good like ability. You can make a macro where you don't need to like select the enemy and then purge. You can just select your ally, and what your allies is like hitting, that is going to purge, like that is going to be your purge target. But you also have Storm Conduit, which is also a very good talent, so I'm going to talk about that as well. This is making it more viable. Now I don't know if it's going to be optimal, but it might be more viable. Now Elemental Shaman And Restoration Shaman gets a new talent, which is Storm Conduit, which I kind of like it for Elemental Shaman, where I think Restoration Shaman maybe doesn't have the space for it in their PvP talents. If you're playing a lightning bolt build, new PvP talent Storm Conduit, casting lightning bolt or chain lightning reduces the cooldown of Astral Shift, Gust of Wind, Wind Shear, Nature Totems by 1 second, and interrupt duration reduced by 30% whenever you're going to cast lightning bolt. So if you're casting lightning bolt, obviously you're casting a lot, they interrupt you. Normally an interrupt is like, depending, it's a wind shear, it's 2 seconds, for example. So if you get wind sheared, it's a 2-second interrupt, if I'm not mistaken, or I'll play too much classic. It's a 2 second, yeah. So it's a 2-second interrupt. 30% of it, like, it's going to literally give you a GCD. It's just a GCD. Like, it's worth it. If you get interrupted on a kick or a silence or whatever, it is kind of worth to eat those with your lightning bolt and then go for lava burst. So that's already like a +1 to me. But then you have your Astral Shift getting reduced CD, your Wind Shear reduced CD, Nature Totems reduced CD. So think about the Tremor Totems, think about your healing type, how it's called, the healing stream totem, excuse me. You have a lot of totems that are nature totems, and your Gust of Wind. So you have an ability to move. Now, I don't know why it's written Gust of Wind instead of like and or. I guess it is. Not even. It's not even written. But it should also be Spirit Walk. But whatever. So Gust of Wind as well. Gust of Wind is a 20-second CD. If you can actually cast like 3 times your lightning bolt, and I don't know if it works also as well on the overcharges. If it actually does, then it's really broken. But if it doesn't, the overloads, excuse me, if it doesn't work, then it's also still fine. You're going to reduce the CD of your main ability to move away or move out of danger, pretty much. I personally like it. So Storm Conduit has kind of a space for me. But it's even better for Restoration Shaman. For Restoration Shaman, the few lightning bolts that you're going to cast, there are not a lot, but your interrupt duration is reduced by 50%. 50%. So if you are kicked on lightning bolt, it's really worth it. You are baiting their interrupt for a little interrupt. That little interrupt is not going to make you dead. Obviously, if you get wind sheared on it, it's a 1 second. Who cares? If you get interrupted on like a step kick or charge pummel or I don't know, a spell lock or whatever, it's huge benefits for you. You don't even need to precog. You don't need to fake cast whenever you're going to do lightning bolts with this talent. So I personally really like it. I think those talents are good examples of well-made PvP talents. Those are the talents that you should have on a lot of classes. For example, new PvP talent for Destruction Warlock, Fiery Embrace or whatever. You're doing incinerates. If you get kicked on incinerates, it is a 30% interrupt reduction, for example. That's a huge PvP talent that I would say a lot of Destruction Wolves would like to have because they're costing a lot. You could have those PvP talents on every single class and it would not be obnoxious. Obviously, on a mage that does Frostbolt, that kind of sucks because they have already like a lot of instants. But like for like Destruction Warlocks, I would say for a Shadow Priest on Mind Blast, for example, like a lot of stuff can be interesting that you can put like some PvP talents that have like the same kind of property. I really like that as well. So that is for Elemental Shaman and for Restoration Shaman. Let's discuss about Restoration Shaman really quickly as well. Totem of Wrath now triggers from healing from Nature's Swiftness. So that's a quality of life change because before it was on Primordial Wave, if I'm not mistaken. And before that, it was just the totem itself. So quality of life on quality of life, pretty much. Whispering Waves now duplicates 25% of healing waves healing in PvP combat instead of 10%. So that's a huge buff because you don't have... Before, to get that, you had to Primordial Wave, and then your next healing wave would duplicate, and it would be 50% or 75% or 60% of the healing waves. Now it's like a passive. Every single time you're going to do a healing wave, it is going to duplicate 25%. So that's huge, especially like in RBGs, especially in like arenas 3v3. In 2v2 it's a bit less, I guess, because it's 2v2, you don't duplicate a lot. You have only 2 targets, while in 3v3 you have 3, and if you can have multiple targets on, let's say, your RBG, then you will have a lot of value out of that. I personally really love that, so that's a great change as well. And then you have Enhancement Shaman, which Ride the Lightning is now gone. It is a shame, but it opens up to new talents. Right, lightning is now gone, so my talent setup, what I would do, Totem of Wrath kind of sucks because you don't really play around crit. Stormweaver is quite nice, but you're not really, that's not a mandatory talent. What you really want is Shamanism. I really like Shamanism. What you really want is Burrow, and then you have your third talent, which is depending on who you're facing. And the same for Burrow, actually, and the same for Shamanism. A lot of those talents can be changed. If you're 3v3 versus casters, you would be playing Grounding Totem. If you're playing versus double melee and versus, like, say, a Preservation Evoker, where you cannot really Grounding Totem anything, not anything very valuable, you could play Electrocute versus Preservation Evoker. Versus Resto Druid, obviously Grounding Totem is quite good, but then you could say, look, maybe Shamanism, I don't really care about the haste, I'll go for Electrocute. And that is going to be interesting, because I think having lightning, like, right, the lightning is really good because it's increased damage, but I wish it was baked onto something else on the class or the spec tree. I still wish the class tree has a bit more damage, because a lot of the class tree is pure utility, which I think a lot of classes are, yeah, like, kind of jealous about. But I think that you could, like, add a few, like, damaging things onto the class tree. But in general, I think it opens up a lot of stuff. Now you don't need to take Rite of Lightning because you're not going to have the fear of missing out on damage. But now you can actually have some flavor or some situational things. For example, Unleash Shield, it's really good. You actually have Unleash Shield as Enhancement Shaman, so you can actually knock people away from you in RBGs or in 3v3 if you're, like, trained. If you're playing versus, like, melees that are very dumb, for example, and they're not breaking your Counter-Strike totem, that's also a very good totem to have. Electrocute, I really like that as well now, since it does more damage, like 100% more damage. Before it was 120%, which is like a little dot. Now this is actually a noticeable dot. You can actually spam it. It's like 3 damage if someone is from far away. Electrocute, and that's quite good as well. So I'm looking forward to test it out. I don't know if it's going to be very good, but it's 240% for free for something you already do. You are already doing purges, so I will need to see how much damage it actually does, and I'll look forward to test it out. Now, these are the changes for Shamans. Are you excited? Are you not? I'm going to make a video about Shamans tomorrow while playing, because it will be a start of season 2. No, start of 11.1, and next week is going to be start of season 2. I'm looking for a Mythic Plus or Raiding Guild, just because I want to try the PvE out, and I will try to do it. I say that every single time, but I will try to make time for it. I'm going to do PvP as well, solo shuffle, solo QRPGs, 2v2, 3v3, I'll try to do that. I'm going to try to focus on, like, 2 or, like, again, I already made my main class video. I said focusing 2 mains and then 2 alts. That is my plan. I would like to have 2 mains, like true mains, classes, and then 2 alts. But yeah, situations can always change. I'm going to try to test them all in the week that will come, and then I'm going to decide, like, okay, this one is going to be my main, this one is going to be my alt. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and we will catch each other probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.